Well, isn't this a surprise? I'm going to move this a bit. You have heard me mention, this is of course Cowboy Tim. I mean, well, who else is the time to do this? Well, that's what unemployment would do to you. But you have heard me mention that I cook a bit. Oh, well, it's a fact. I don't eat what I cook much. I'll eat a little. But I'll get on the scale every day. And it's going to start increasing in numerical value as I am able soon to get back to exercising. Okay, here's the deal. Roast beef. This is a cooking video. Even for me, I doubt very much that I'll ever be able to get any level of morality out of this thing. But that's all right. Listen, I have been married 3 times. I've been divorced 3 times, so geez. And I didn't marry the women in order to have something to eat. Not stupid. Anyways, typical roast beef. Well, you better make a trip down to Costco. Because when you buy a sirloin roast there, well, you usually get 2 in a package. Frankly, they cost about the same as one up here that's half the size of either of those down there. And you have a whole lot more chance of cooking something that's tender when you buy it at Costco. Anyways, the next time you do a roast, I would just like you to, well, just consider. Can a rancher who, oh dear Lord, 252, haven't even had a shower yet. I haven't done anything except make videos and sit in the deck at the back and breathe in this wonderful air. By the way, as always, one thing I missed on the video from the last one to finish the sentence, because I'm pretty sure my father was calling me on to talk about something else. It was more important than what I started out to say. I started out to say that my mom and I were the only ones in our family who did not have lung issues. I mean, real issues. All 3 sisters have a tendency to be asthmatic. My dad was too. And, well, I was just thinking about that for a second. But he was. My mom and I, well, we just breathed. One of the, no, I'll finish that statement in the next video when I remember that I forgot to do it. Okay, so you take a roast, a sirloin. I mean, geez, well, at Costco, you can certainly afford it. Not in Fort Mac. And I personally like to take that roast and sear it in a well, I prefer a cast iron frying pan, but second to last place I stayed at, I kept my frying pan. Well, probably several of them. It doesn't matter. It's just a pan. Anyways, I like to sear the roast. I like to really sear it And then I like to, well, that's after I spice it. So let me tell you how I spice it. Okay? This is, well, it doesn't matter. It's garlic plus. I like to use a bit of that. I also use fresh garlic. Fresh may be delusional term. I like a little bit of Montreal steak spice. Children, this really is a video on how to cook a roast beef. Elk, moose, not deer. I don't eat deer. They're too pretty. Buffalo. Yeah. Second ingredient, no, third. Because oh dear Lord. I use roasted garlic and peppers. And children, I use it liberally. Ground turmeric. There's a rationale for that. I met a couple of wonderful doctors who were looking at our ranch when it was listed for $1,900,000. Well, $2 under $2 million. It's now. Well, let's not talk about it. Montreal chicken spice. Now, poulet du Montréal. It sounds like an incongruity that you would use chicken spice on a roast of beef. I use a little tiny bit of Montreal steak spice, not much. It's too salty. And but Montreal chicken spice, roasted garlic and peppers. I'm telling you, children, I lay a heavy blanket of that stuff on my roast, seasoning, salt a little bit, fries, whatever. Only buy the crap at stuff at Costco. Honey garlic. I don't like honey garlic sausage. I'm going to save that one. Salt. I had a heart attack, so I haven't used salt in years, but the bodybuilder said, well, I think she said Himalayan. But I had bought this salt not too long before. When I go back to Costco, I am going to get another Himalayan. I saw it there. Kind of pink. Pepper. You may not recognize that name. Oh, geez, you could. Anyways, I don't want to advertise for people. I mean, well, I really would, but dear Lord, it's not happened yet. Syrup d'érable, otherwise known as what my dad and I used to make when I was a kid. I don't have room. Oh, geez, what do I do? I bet I can put her back in the same place. Maybe, perhaps. When I get my roast seared, and I take a full thing of fresh garlic, and I might put 6 or 8 of those. I'll put the whole bloody thing in if I could. And I mean, geez, I live alone. And I put that roast in a slow cooker. Well, you want to try to eat a regular roast of beef from some grocery store in Fort Mac, well, you're dreaming if you're going to cook it in a regular manner. So I do the slow cooker thing, and I'll probably cook it 8 hours and then pull it out and slice it up and all that. And make a gravy out of the juice, but I slice the whole blessed roast, otherwise you can't even chew it. I mean, forget doing a sirloin roast. I don't know how long it takes to get to the north, but it must be some time because, oh dear Lord, it just turns out terrible if you're thinking you're going to make it into for roast beef sandwiches. My last thing that I put on my roast is, you may see that, plum sauce, otherwise sauce de prunes or something. The plum sauce. I still haven't learned very much French. I tell you, I sure have. Oh dear Lord God in heaven, it's 10:57. Oh shit. Anyways, I guess it's a recipe, and well, that's the spice I put on my sirloin roast. I sear it, as I said, put it in the slow cooker, put it in there for about 8 hours, slice it up, build the gravy out of the juice in the bottom, and if you don't have quite enough liquid down there, put in put in a couple of cups of water, and a little cornstarch. I kind of like flour gravy. It's thick and all that crap, but nonetheless, and I cheat a little. I get those little packets of gravy at the grocery store, and I do a couple of those. Some flour. I make a good gravy, and I cover my roast in plum sauce. I mean, I cover my roast in plum sauce. And I don't eat much, but that doesn't mean that what I eat should taste bad. I did burn my Kraft dinner the other day. Made too many scrambled eggs. First time since I had my hand crushed. I had it crushed twice. First time they took a finger and half of it. I'm actually getting so I can crack an egg with one hand is what I'm suggesting to you. And when you are done, by the way, 8 hours, slice the roast, put it in the gravy you made, take more plum sauce, more roasted garlic, Montreal's chicken spice, roasted garlic and peppers. Just cover the thing. I put it back on in the slow cooker. I'll probably turn it down to low. I try to get the job done fairly efficiently, so I have it on hot, the slow cooker. I have her on hot the first 8 hours. It takes about that long before you can cut the bloody meat. And, well, not if you buy it south. I will cook that for another 12, 14, 16 hours. And then I like roast beef sandwiches, what are called hot roast beef, not that you take to work. And so I'll take a gourmet can of cream corn, and I'll put that on. Well, I actually will heat that up, and I'll make myself a hot roast beef sandwich, and so it's been probably cooking for a day and a half, and about half that time, if you know what I'm saying, and I will put that on a couple of slices of fresh bread. I freeze my bread as soon as I get it. My buns that I'm using for my sandwiches that I take to work, I always cut them and package them in freezer bags, one or two in a bag, and that way, if I think I had to shred too much, too many calories the day before, I climb on the scale, and you better not be any higher than it was yesterday when I weighed myself then in the morning. If it is, I'll take one sandwich. I don't even need to eat. I can go a day, two, without eating at all. It may affect my mental acumen and all that sort of stuff, but it may not. And frankly, who could tell? When there's no one else here but me. And so I take my fresh bread, which I thaw, and toast a tiny bit, butter the blazes out of it, set it on a plate, and cover both pieces, two slices, both pieces, with slices of sirloin roast that have been cooking for close to 20 hours. The last 12 in its own gravy. Good gravy, by the way. Whoa. And I will stretch that meat out on the sandwich. I don't do a double layer because I don't want to get fat. I'm still 164. A year ago at this time I weighed 204, and then I started eating some stuff that I got in trouble eating the food that was being carried in for me. I'd made it, but it got doctored. And my weight fell from 204 pounds. My scales, I moved somewhere in there, and I couldn't get my scales back to pounds. I didn't understand how. Well, there were no directions either. Good scales. I know I dropped at least another 10 pounds until one night I thought, well, I talked to the Lord about it. I said, you're getting ready to take me home, aren't you? And he said, no, I'm not. I said, I don't think I can live through the night, I've been trying to introduce food back into my system. I've been trying to think with the clarity that was decent. But after I quit eating that food that abuser was carrying for me, I had flashbacks. So serious were the flashbacks that I couldn't talk. I sure could not speak intelligently. And but anyways, I don't know how low I got, but I did figure out how to get my scales working sometime after that. And the first time I climbed on the scales, I weighed 163 pounds, which is 41 pounds from when I started. I didn't want to lose weight. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't have a clue. I do now. Oh, didn't I have a miraculous cure when the Lord and I, under His admonishment, I quit eating the food that was being carried in. And all during that time, I would say to the Lord, Father, that young man who I thought was a friend, he wasn't. I said, Father, am am I where you want me to be? And he would say, yes. And I would say, but my father, I can't think. I can't talk. The one who called me Cowboy Jim, she was having a pretty hard time with how I'd changed, because she didn't know. Well, I didn't know. I didn't understand. And God would tell me every time that I asked, he would say, you are right where I want you to be. And I would say, how is that possible? And he would say, trust me. And I did. And every day I prayed for that woman. Every day. But you know, we're not well suited to be attacked by people who are what I thought were close to me, but who still hated me, but I didn't see it. But that one abuser, he did. Anyways, I'm on the mend. Haven't had a flashback for 3 months. Possibly I had one 2 months ago. I had to have a mental health assessment to ascertain if I were in my right mind. Because that young man that beat me, that I let him beat me, he was fired. Well, they got him on video. Right in the mine, right in the company. Who 2 weeks later, boss, I truly respected that man. And he called me about an hour before I was to go to work. I said, hello. He said, hello, Jim. I said, sir. He said, yes. I said, sir, are you firing me? He said, no. I'm not sure that he didn't say, I can't. But I knew that's what he meant. I said, sir, are you laying me off? He said, no. I said, sir, are you banning me from this mine? He said, no. I said, but sir, I hear in your voice something, and I know in my heart what it is. I said, you don't want me to come back to work, do you? He said, no, please, Jim, please don't come back to work, please. Wrongful dismissal, you see. If he had done any of the first two, well, I could have sued him, dummy. I don't sue people. Well, I might now. I never have. I thought it was disrespectful. But anyway, screw that. I recovered. I mentioned at another job shortly after that, somebody asked me about God, I said. And shortly after that, they called me into the office, head guy, and a man I truly respected. And hear this, children, respect. They said, we just want to talk to you, get to know you. So they asked me a couple of questions, and then they went to the core of the whole thing. And they said, why were you fired at the last job? I said, it wasn't They said, why were you laid off? I said, I wasn't. They said, what happened? I told them about the young man who had been charged with assault and who I had allowed him to beat me because I wouldn't defend myself. I won't defend myself against a lady either. I don't care what they say. I wouldn't defend myself against my own mom. She just loved me. But she told me, you're a man. Act like it. Don't pick on women. I didn't, haven't. So they said, you've been under a lot of strain. I said, you have no bloody idea. And I said, we're going to send you home for, you're going to get a phone call from an HR lady. She'll have 5 or 6 questions to ask you. I said, so I just sit at home? Yeah. And they said, oh, she'll call you this afternoon. Next morning, I called back. I said, lady didn't call. Oh, wait for her to call. 10 days went by. 10 days went by. Well, I started to look for another job. I found one, but the lady called me, and I said, she started to ask me some stupid questions. I said, lady, what do you really want? She said, we want a mental health clearance because you've been through too much. Well, I had been through too much. Beaten, poisoned by the same man. Oh, no one would believe me. Oh, a few did. A few true brothers did. And I kind of could pick them out of the crowd, so I talked to them. And I said, brother, this is what happened. My one brother, true brother, I won't say his name, he's my true brother. He said, they were going to kill you. And I said, they invited me, that husband and wife, whatever. They invited me back to where they lived, and they said, you can live out the rest of your days here. Showed me my room. They said, all you have to do is book yourself into a mental institution because you're crazy and give us power of attorney over your life. And I thought, I got you. I understand. I was still at that time eating the food that was being carried in, but I was only crazy after I ate it. Anyways, HR lady that finally called me, I said, so what? Do you know those stupid people? They phoned my son, my eldest son, and they said, please talk your dad into giving us power of attorney over him. My son, oh, live it. I didn't raise sons who were anything different than I am. I hope not as hard, but tough. Anyways, that HR lady who finally phoned me after 10 days, I said, tell me what you really want. She said, a mental health assessment. I said, I can do that. I said, would it work if I phoned my family doctor who has known me for 20 years? She said, yes, he could do it. I did. My doctor spent 2 hours on the phone with me. There's no question that I have the physical ability to work. That's all I've ever done. And I told the doctor, I said, this is what these people want. He said, are they psychiatrists? I said, no, I don't know the HR lady. She doesn't ask questions that are remotely close to being intelligent. So I doubt that. And he said, well, what about the other people? I said, well, they drive truck, or they're now higher positions of authority. And he was so offended. He said, what right do these people have to question your mental acumen? I said, well, they refer to our job as being a safety concern. And he said, you drive truck? I said, sure. I said, I run anything. It's a gift from God. I don't know what to do with most things, but if I have half an hour to watch, I can do it. No trouble. We spoke at length. He interrogated me in a very professional manner. Yes, he had been my doctor for 20 years. That's why he qualified to ask me the appropriate questions, and he did. And he left no rock unturned. And I didn't tell him about my suspicion that my food was being poisoned because, well, the ones that I had mentioned that to just thought I was crazy. Doesn't mean that my food wasn't being poisoned. When I quit eating it, I had a miraculous recovery. It took some time, maybe 2.5 months, 3 almost, to recover and stop having flashbacks that rocked me to my roots. Oh, the gracious kindness of my superintendents that I worked for, because I honored them. They helped me. They gave me a chance. Well, it started out to be a recipe, and as per normal, I wandered. But I suppose it's relationship to thinking about food and cooking, and I do it fairly well. I have a couple of more recipes I'll do, not today maybe, who knows. Dear Lord, I don't know until I open my mouth. Life is a tumultuous affair. It's a wonderful thing. That young man's going to court on December 15th over the assault charge. I don't hate him. I sure as hell don't respect him. What he did to me and his lady, she was a psych nurse type person. It wasn't the first time they had done that to someone. I don't know why they picked on me. I mean, I was 71 at the time. I'm the youngest 71 you'll ever meet. Hands down. So listen, take a shot at this roast beef. Don't be afraid to get creative. Don't get too creative. Take any recipe that is available to mankind. Study it. Understand these ingredients. What do they really do for the outcome of the food you're going to prepare? And food's only good to share with someone else. So I have 20 meals prepared in my freezer. I have another 10 or 12 in a cooler out back. It won't my doctor gave me a clean bill of health, physical, mental. And that was in spite of every effort that that young man and his lady made in order to take over my life, and I mean to take over my life. And God has given me a peace I never thought I would ever in my entire lifetime get to speak with the one who called me Cowboy Jim. I didn't mind the stuff that was stolen. There was a lot stolen from me. My dignity, my pride, my self-worth. It's a hard thing to maintain self-worth when the people you work with go from having loved you a year before to hating and despising you. And but not everyone did. There are good people in that crew. And I survived. And I have had one conversation, I think only one, with that woman who called me Cowboy Jim. I have great hope for the future, great hope, because my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I scarce not trust the sweetest frame, but solely lean on Jesus' name. Every day, in every way, God and I talked about that lady. God and I talked about when I was driving in the mine eating that food that bastard brought to me, which I had made, and he had done something to it. Somebody did. I kept saying, Father, am I where you want me to be? He said, yes, yes. And I believe there is a reason for that. I believe it is because God was showing me when that abuser had done to other what he considered aged. I know he picked on me because he thought I had so much. I never said I had anything. But he told the mutual friend, he said, that old man has $100,000 worth of woodworking tools in his shop. Oh yeah. He said, listen, before you book yourself into a mental institute, this is when I went to his place, and he let his guard down. And when he said, all we want you to do is to book yourself into a mental institution, but give us power of attorney over you first. Children, God loves you. God loves me. Look into my eyes. Tell me I'm crazy. It's been done before. But you who know me, I think this might be 115 videos. They're from my heart. First one I did, I just stopped eating the food that bastard was giving me. I was still suffering from occasional flashbacks. I truly thank God that He brought me through what I could not have made it on my own. Yep.
Yeah. God bless you. I took exactly twice as long as I should have. Kind of scares me. I have, well, I cook, eh? You try that roast beef, especially the plum sauce, and every other spice that I listed. Don't be afraid to use spices, children. Back off on the Montreal steak. Better to use straight salt. And fry up a thing of mushrooms and throw that in the gravy sauce. I'll put green peppers in there as well. Kind of add a bit of flavor. If your life is lacking in flavor, consider my father. He'll spice it up. And he'll protect you too. You may go through some bad stuff, but it'll be for a reason. Okay? We haven't seen the reason yet, but I know it's coming. I know the difference now. I think I could recognize an abuser again. God bless.